Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder, the place where we decode the corporate world. Today we're diving into a proxy statement, which might sound dry, but trust me, there are some juicy bits in here about who's getting paid what. Think of it as corporate gossip, but with numbers. We're looking at CV Sciences, a company focused on hemp-derived CBD products. This proxy statement is essentially a notice to shareholders about the annual meeting coming up in June of 2025. It outlines what they'll be voting on and who the board recommends voting for. The main event is the annual meeting in June. Stockholders get to vote on important things like electing directors, choosing the accounting firm, and even giving their opinion on how much the top executives are getting paid. It's like a school election, but with higher stakes. First up, the election of 3 directors. The board is recommending Dr. Jamie Caroon, Joseph Dowling, and Bill McCorkle. These folks are already on the board, and they want to keep their seats. A director is like a team captain who guides the company. Next, there's the ratification, the approval of Haskell & White LLP as the independent accounting firm. These are the guys who check the company's financial statements to make sure everything is on the up and up. It's like having a referee in a sports game. Then comes the say on pay vote. This is where shareholders get to give their opinion in an advisory and non-binding way on how much the top executives are paid. It's like giving the CEO a thumbs up or thumbs down, but it doesn't actually change anything. There's also a vote on how often they should have this say on pay vote every 1, 2, or 3 years. It's like deciding how often to have performance reviews. CV Sciences is using the internet to share these materials, which saves paper and money. They're sending out a notice with instructions on how to access the proxy statement and the annual report online. To be eligible to vote, you had to be a stockholder of record by April 4, 2025. On that date, there were about 184 million shares of common stock outstanding, held by 41 record holders and many more beneficial owners whose shares are held by brokers. To get elected, directors need to get a plurality of votes. That means the 3 with the most votes win. It's a basic election. For the accounting firm and executive compensation, they need a majority vote, more than half to approve these proposals. Let's meet the nominees. Dr. Jamie Caroon is a naturopathic doctor and researcher. He brings medical knowledge and leadership to the board. Joseph Dowling is the Chief Executive Officer and a director. He has a lot of experience in finance and the pharmaceutical industry with prior experience at Citigroup. Bill McCorkle is an operational executive with over 30 years of experience and has expertise in finance and operations. Now for the fees. CV Sciences paid Haskell & White about $191,300 for audit fees in 2024. It was less in 2023, about $175. The board is urging everyone to vote for the independent registered public accounting firm. Here is the advisory vote on executive compensation. This vote is non-binding. The board will only consider the outcome of the vote when making future executive compensation decisions, and in particular to consider any significant negative voting results if they can determine the cause or causes for such votes. It is advisory and has no power. The board says to vote for approval of executive compensation. Finally, how often should executive pay be voted on? The board wants you to vote for having it every 2 years. The compensation committee is responsible for deciding how much the executives make. It currently consists of Jamie Caroon and Bill McCorkle. CV Sciences has a code of ethics for all directors, officers, and employees, so they should be behaving fairly. Okay, let's look at the executive compensation table. In 2024, the CEO, Joseph Dowling, made about $457,667 to over $343,323. That includes TFD compensation. In 2023, Dowling made $403,153 and Grasser earned $27.3. Dowling made $403,000 in Malars and awards and non-equity incentive compensation. In 2023, Dowling made $403,153,320 incentive compensation. In 2023, Dowling made $403,153 and Grasser earned $273,143,153 and $143,153,353,323. Dowling made $403,053,041,52,001. A big chunk of their compensation comes from stock options. That is something to keep in mind. The CEO agreement dictates that he gets $300,000 per year until June 2027. This is a pretty long deal. There are also stipulations for what the executives get if the company has a change of control, if it's sold or acquired. That would include cash payments equal to 2 times the base salary. The company adopted an insider trading policy to stop, well, insider trading. Another table. At the end of 2024, Dowling had about 2,108,035 for your the exercisable options, and a bit over 3.5 million options that were not yet able to be exercised. Grasser had about 1,120,000 exercisable, and about 2.4 million that were not 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 exercisable. Pay versus performance time. This table looks at how the executive pay compares to some financial metrics. In 2024, the CEO's total compensation reported on the summary compensation table was about $457,667, but their compensation actually paid, which is an adjusted amount, was about $241,256. The comparable amount for the CFO was $34,33.1756. The comparable amount for the CFO was $344,30,2025.1935. Meanwhile, if you invested $100 in the company's stock at the beginning of the period, it would be worth $25 Xanarats at the end of 2024. The company had a net loss of $2,394,000 for the year. It's the same with 2023 and 2022. They lost you money too. To the best of CV Science's knowledge, all executive officers, directors, and persons holding greater than 10% of its issued and outstanding stock have filed the required reports in a timely manner during fiscal year 2024, with some exceptions. It is good that at least there were no disclosure issues. Here's a bit of ownership information. Clayton J. Montgomery owns about 8.6% of the stock. Dowling owns about 1.7%. The executive officers and directors as a group own 3.8%. Here is an overview about all the company stocks and plans. As of December 31, 2024, there were about 26.8 million securities to be issued upon exercise, at a weighted average exercise price of 0.14 cents, and about 20.6 million securities remaining available for future issuance. Finally, there are no known cases of delinquent filings by insiders. They all managed to report their stock ownership changes on time. There have been no transactions in the last 2 completed fiscal years or any currently proposed transactions in which the company are or plan to be a participant and the amount involved exceeds the lesser of $120,000 or 1% of the average of the company's total assets at year end for the last 2 completed fiscal years, and in which any related person had or will have a direct or indirect material interest. The board knows of no matter other than those described herein that will be presented for consideration at the meeting. Okay, so what does all this mean? CV Sciences is doing its corporate governance thing, but the numbers tell a story. The company is paying its executives well, but the pay versus performance table shows that the shareholders are not seeing those returns. The company is losing money and the stock price is doing poorly. It might be that the company direction has some weakness, and it might be not. This requires more analysis. Also, it might be the risk of changing regulations that could affect CV Sciences. There are also opportunities as the CBD market grows, but they need to execute their strategy well, and overall CV Sciences has some serious challenges. That is it. Thanks for watching. If you found this helpful, please give us a like, comment, and subscribe for more deep dives into the corporate world.